Hi, I'm here today to talk about whether you should choose to do Gentle Classical Preschool or Gentle Classical Primer. I see like a lot of questions. I have a 3-year-old, they know their numbers, they know this or that, or we have a 6-year-old and we haven't done anything with them, or we have a whatever age and these are where they're at. So I think a really great thing to think about is the difference between primer and preschool. And so you can get both of the teacher guides for free off of the Gentle and Classical website. And she does recommend age 2 to 4 for her preschool. And she recommends, I think it's 5 to 7 for primer. But I definitely stray from that a little bit just because so in the basic subjects in preschool are nursery rhymes, which are also in primer, manners and hygiene, which is not in primer. So it's basic, like what's our phone number, what's our address, like basic safety things that are great for kids to know. So if they don't know those kinds of things, that part to incorporate is phenomenal. The math, honestly, so for math, she recommends this Preschool Math at Home, which I also highly recommend. This was a great book. Lots of fun activities to do, but is not like sit down and do a workbook type deal for kids. So I do recommend that for preschool. But honestly, your math curriculum, you're buying separate anyways. So kind of take math out of the equation, because you may choose not to do math. You may choose to do the math she recommends, but you're going to still tailor that to the age of your kid. You're not going to do this preschool math at home if your kids know their colors and one-to-one correspondence and counting up to 10 and things like that. You're not gonna use this. So you set the math kind of off to the side. You also have your preschool morning binder, which honestly, you're gonna look at the 2 morning binders, you're gonna look at the differences, and you're gonna pick the one that works for where your kid is at, because that is more of their handwriting practice. A lot of the sheets are the same, like your main sheets are the same, but your letter sheets change. So these are only capital letters in the preschool one, and they're just finding the letter down here with the capital and lowercase, versus in the primer one, it's capitals and lowercases. And some of these other ones, like they have blends in the primer one, like letter blends. They also have numbers up to, I believe, 20, versus in this preschool one, it's only numbers up to 10. And then they have like shapes and colors in this, versus they have like coins and some other things in the preschool or in the primer one. So your morning binder, you're going to pick what works for that kid. So you're going to know where they're at for that as well. And you're kind of going to do that not dependent on your curriculum choice. Then you have artist study and music, and that is also in the other one. So there's that. There is motor skills, gross motor and fine motor skills in the preschool. That is not in the primer. There's an all about me statement in the preschool. Oh, that is your name and address and stuff. Your manners and hygiene is more like, let me see here. Sorry. I have fun with my family. So it's a statement that says, like, family is the best. They're who I love to see. We have so much fun and they sure do treasure me. And so it's just statements about things in life that really the all about me and the manners and hygiene kind of all mashed together. And there is manners and hygiene in primer. You go through Everyday Grace's, like one of our little poems in Everyday Graces, and she has a manners and hygiene statement. So there is manners and hygiene in both. It just kind of differs. Just like catechism, there's catechism in both, and they just continue different catechism questions. Same thing with scripture. You have a scripture memory statement, and there's scripture memory statement in primer. And then for the character songs, like the I Am Patient, there isn't one of those in the other ones, but you do kind of have discussions that you can have around the virtue. The virtue is kind of your new character statement, right? So it's transferred the way it's stated. So the only difference is in primer, you have the hymn, you have a Bible story, which you may be doing a children's Bible anyways, so that may or may not matter. And then you have your wonder tale, so you're upping your literature intake from a smaller picture book to a wonder tale, which is maybe a 8 to 20 minute story, depending on which story it is. And then you have poetry involved in that, but you can have poetry in the preschool one if you're looking at the for your 3 to 4 year olds. In there, she kind of expands. You have a poem, The Big Thoughts for Little People and The Big Truths for Little Kids, and those are a couple biblical resources to use. The main reason I tell people just start with preschool, because honestly, this right here, her handicraft guide, this thing, activity and handicraft guide, this thing holds your hand so well rolling into all of this, and it just gives you so many options, right? So it walks you through like the big picture of what you're doing, a heart check about you, and how to connect with the story that you're reading. And so this is like learning how to draw concepts out of stories. And then she gives you these, which people either love or do not love, but a lot of people love this schedule because it's just laid out. It's nice and easy. It says, do this on this day, boom, boom, boom. So, and then she has, oh, I think I skipped a page. Yeah. The fine motor, or the fine motor usually goes with your handicraft. So this is the handicraft or whatever. And it talks about, you know, other things you could do to modify that, additional activities you could do that week. So there is so much amazing content in this activity and handicraft guide. This is why I honestly tell people, start with preschool. It's not that much different than primer. Like I said, primer, you go a little less like short and sweet and to the point, and you're going a little bit longer with your statements, your readings, and all of that. It's just all slowly inching a little bit longer attention wise. But I just think that if you miss out on this, not miss out, but if you don't do this, you are missing out, I should say, because this handicraft guide was just so fun. And I really look forward to doing it. And some people will say, well, I have a 3-year-old and I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to go and do primer with them at 4. So what do I do with them at 5? Honestly, you could circle back around to this, because this handicraft guide has so many things that your 3-year-old may not be able to do quite yet, that you're going to end up doing a lot for them. And so you could really explore this more and continue reading like your good books and stuff, but be able to pull a little bit from that. And so that's honestly my recommendation, is start with preschool just for this. Modify the math, modify the morning binder, modify any handwriting curriculum you want to do, your reading curriculum you're going to do, modify all of that. But start with preschool, because it's so stinking fun with this guide and all the different handicrafts and activities and suggestions. And people are like, it can be overwhelming. I'm like, it for sure is. There's so much built into this. And that's why I say, like, even if you do this one time with a kid, you can do it a second time with a kid and get a completely different experience, because they're older. You can go more in depth with things, and things just mean a lot more to them at that point. So I highly recommend Gentle Classical Preschool as your starting off point, no matter the age of your kid. Now, when you get into like school age, kids, I think there is a lot better books to be doing than some of these picture books. So you may decide to change some of that, but I wouldn't be doing this with like a true school age kid. I wouldn't be doing preschool or primer with that, just because I think by that point I'm entering into more of like the sequence one that she is offering, or I'm finding more of my curriculum that I'm settling into going forward, whether that's Sunlight or CMEC or Ambleside or whatever. And so I think this is very fun and keeping it nice and light and isn't really like school, if that makes sense. But it is just being intentional in the day-to-day. And that's what I love about these programs, is the intentionality that Erin provides in all of her work and all of that. So I hope that's helpful. Sorry that this gets a little rambly. I tend to do that. All right, bye.